Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Osu Mania 4-Key World Cup 2022. My name is Juan Cristal, commentating alongside no other than Philippines legend Siloeska Els. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing alright. I'm certainly excited to see a match like Chile versus Australia, given the rosters and how close their seedings are, I believe. How about yourself? How are you doing, Juan?
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm back from a long trip through Europe, now back to commentary once again. And to get a match like this already, Chile versus Australia, as you can see on the screen, we get to see Miyuka playing one of the best players in the world. But will Miyuka and everybody else in Chile, really, everyone has been playing pretty well overall, I think, in this South American roster. But can they take down Australia? Australia, always a tricky team to face, regardless of the situation.
That's true, and you did mention that you have the best player in the world, Yuka, but at the end of the day, this is a team game, and you absolutely must not just rely on one player, and this is just a team effort. If a team wins, it's because of all of the players that were there, not just one player, and that's something that both teams should be aware of.
But I think many teams will not really complain about having a Miyuka on their side. But
well, of course I personally would love to have a Miyuka on Philippines.
I mean, we all would love to have one player that is so good like he is. But regardless, Chile, it's not just Miyuka really, although he has been showing amazing scores so far. He is the captain of the team, obviously, which matters. But the rest of the team, again, we have seen consistently good performance by pretty much every player that stepped into the game from Chile. They have always been a very difficult team to face. They have a very, very intense matchup against Spain on the round of 32, if I recall correctly. And they advanced through it. I think they had to face Brazil, which unfortunately they couldn't take because, well, I mean, it's Brazil. We're talking about the defending champions. And now on the losers bracket against Australia, we'll see if they can keep their lives for the rest of the tournament. They will have to play another match if they manage to win this, but it is the first step to continue through this losers bracket journey, really.
That's true, and just for a recap, Chile banned Lion Zeta and Australia banned Justify My Love, so I believe this is the first time Marinol is wide open for either of these teams, and oh man, I'm very excited to see that. I would really like to see Marinol at least once on stream. Don't we all?
I mean, I obviously really enjoy watching SVs as an spectator. As a player, maybe sometimes, depending who I'm facing, really.
Like, I know what you feel, but like at the end of the day, even if you don't know what to feel about a map, you gotta practice it if you want to have a shot at winning.
Absolutely, yeah. But now we're going straight into LNs, as expected really from Australia, I believe, targeting these sort of implied LN weakness that Chile has historically. Is a good thing to start up the gate, especially with players like Bruca, which is one of the better LN players in the tournament as well. Very well known for his skills comboing through pretty much anything really that gets thrown at him. And starting with density of all picks that they could have gone for, I think is very smart, especially considering how hard the release pick is this time. Like, this release pick feels so much harder than anything else in the pool, at least in my opinion. So easy to drop 200s.
I mean, like, comparing the LNs in general from, like, let's say 2019, 2020, it's night and day. I believe for quarterfinals, you would have something like B, that level in 2020, and like now, this is certainly a lot harder than B.
Absolutely. Like, B is a map I maybe, like, it is something you can consistently double S if you're like a pretty decent LN player, but you have to be very, very good at it if you want to get it even close to an SS this time on the release pick. But this is the density pick, so we're gonna check if the players have enough to compete in this, and so far, so good. Brook is the only one who's holding the whole 99.5% accuracy here, but just catching up, and score gap is very, very small.
I mean, in general, Australia has a very balanced and overall just almost the same accuracies, but I master drop to 200 here and there. Well, in Chile, overall, Miyuka and Jandarin are being the forefront of the country, while Bad CL is not that far behind, actually.
Yeah, just behind Ruka, in fact. And the other two Australians are quite behind compared to Miyuka and John, which again makes sense. It's a very, very accuracy-oriented team as well, Chile, that is. So beating them without a combo advantage is going to be very, very hard. And as it stands right now, it seems like Chile is holding a fairly decent lead, mostly off the back of this ratio by Miyuka. This is the hardest section of the map. These longer LNs are very hard to coordinate properly, so misses are bound to happen at any point of time. But so far, so good. Again, every player just coming through this like if it's nothing.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see a 6-way FC so far, but that can change in the ending part. That is when the full density just really starts, and some burst, but no one is missing. No one missing it. That's very impressive.
6-way FC though, like thus far, it's incredibly good already. But can they keep up through this last quarter? Again, gets very, very tricky and a bit denser as well. The trills are happening. Nobody misses on a trill.
Oh my god, the fact that the team could lose with a 3-way FC nowadays is just really insane. But really, the difference is just between Miyuka and the rest of the Australian team. 99.85 is ridiculously good. And I think that secures the point for Chile, a break point to start. That would be so good for Chile, and Aimasu unfortunately will break at the end.
I was about to say, don't call it too early, because that last bit is choke bait. But fortunately for Chile, it wasn't for them. It was Australia who found the final miss, the nail in the coffin for this first pick. Ayamasu, good performance until the very end. And Miyuka, of course, just showing what he does best. Accuracy, combo, 995k for him. Very insane score. But Ruka not so far behind with a 990k. I feel that Australia, if they can find a miss from Chile, they have what it takes, especially on the Lens and Hybrids, to compete against the Chileans.
See, what I just realized was... Yeah, well, we went from Ellen, and I just noticed, but it seemed like their ratios were just almost the same overall. They just couldn't secure the low 200 count, which Chile did absolutely amazing in.
Absolutely. Like, Miyuka, of course, had the best ratio of the room, but everybody else was very, very close to each other. And the 200 counts were not all that far apart either. It was like IMAS with 20 something, and the rest were on the tens or on the single digits, depending. And that's not that big of a deal. That is still something that can be compromised with just a miss. That is a lead that is not big enough. But now for a ham, straight from Longnose into Rise here. And this is arguably the densest map of the pool. It's fairly short, 1 minute and 33 seconds, and 244 VPM. It gets to hand streams at some points as well. So we shall see. This is very easy to choke as well, especially if you lack the control for it. But we shall see. I imagine Chile will be fine, especially now that we see Alternation being the first miss of the lobby, but getting instantly traded by Niflox, and quite a big miss actually.
That is true, but Ayamasu missing is unfortunately going to trade it back. Chile with a pretty big advantage as of the moment. This map is not friendly to people who cannot keep up with high BPM. I don't think it's as dense as the other jump stream hand stream pick, but this one is certainly fast.
I mean, I think it's denser and slightly slower than the other, but even still, it gives you enough breaks to recover and burst through the jump streams, as you mentioned, which is why it maybe feels not as hard as you may have expected initially. But regardless, Chile is now running away with a huge lead right now, off of the back of Miyuka's 99.97, which just keeps rising, by the way. And with a third of the map remaining, there is enough time for chokes to happen, but at this point, there have to be massive chokes here from the Chileans. I imagine 2 misses is what Australia is looking for. And with just a quarter of the song remaining, not that many combo anymore to be dropped. Shall see if they have enough time, even with them.
I don't see it anymore. You would need to hope for a triple miss from Chile. I think a full team miss should give it to Australia, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. So I think it's a 4 miss. Wait, how did that increase despite the miss from Netflix? But
it was a very clean one. The accuracy didn't go low at all at that point. Look at that ratio by Miyuka. 29.
300s. And again, overall, the ratios for Chile and Rice is just a lot better than the Australian side. The lowest amount of 300s being alternation is just still a lot more compared to Zan, who had the lowest 300 count in Chile.
Yep, 50 may not look as like a lot, but really, when we're talking a map that has above 1600 nodes and just barely, 50 nodes are a lot when it comes to ratio. And I mean, again, it's not just competing against San or any of the other Chileans. You also have to keep in mind that Miyuka is just gonna 999k everything in the Rise department, most likely. And that puts a lot of pressure to Australia, really, which is why they go for Hybrid now and Longnose in general. I'm surprised they did not go for Marinol just yet, but they should at some point. Going with Summer before that. Maybe this works, I'm not so sure. They're keeping the same roster.
To be fair, I do think Marinol might be better to save for later. Like maybe like as a last resort pick. Like when you're in a very, very dire situation, which I don't think it's a dire situation yet. But it's certainly bad to be down 2-0 and losing already a break point at the very start. That is not a good situation to be in.
Certainly it isn't. And that's why they have to like jump back into the game as soon as possible now. And with Hybrid, they might have what it takes. On a lens, I argue again, they weren't too far apart. And if any choke ever happens from the Chilean side, and they can keep this three-way FC kind of team in the Hybrids, then I believe they have a chance. But Hybrids are historically known for being a bit harder to combo through than like other maps, mostly off of the back that most people are not really familiar, or not necessarily familiar, but not used to play Hybrids all that much, I think. Like you're always known as a Rise player or like an LN player. And when you mix those two, you really have to be an all-rounder to play these kind of things properly. And we see that right off the gates already with a couple 200s by Ruka and Aemasu.
But I do think Faz has been dropping that accuracy, which has been helping Australia. But again, if they cannot match the two accuracies from Yuka and Jean-Rin, it will not be that much help. Because at the end of the day, Faz CL has a lot of opportunity to increase that accuracy.
So far, the lead seems to be extending in favor of Chile, but slowly. And again, we are on the range where a miss can easily change everything. So we shall see. Bit of a break here.
Yep, the lead is actually pretty short right now. And there's still so much time to come back. I think like this is a very chokeable part, but we don't see any misses, surprisingly. Really impressive on both teams' end.
Nobody choking on the mini jacks over there. Nobody dropping much accuracy off of those disjointed releases, and that's incredible already. But into this very last transition, no misses either. More mini jacks, and there's the first miss, unfortunately by Ruka, which puts Australia in a very tricky spot. But fast races, and John as well. Now it's a double miss by Chile, which means that Australia now has a chance to come back off this. But Ayamatsu finally traces again, and it's a 2v2. But first,
wait a minute, fast again. That's a huge app drop as well. So essentially, Australia is gonna have a chance. But the bar is not shrinking. I'm surprised. I think it's because of Ayamatsu dropping somewhere app.
Oh, but it is so close. This will come down to the wire, and everyone had reached the 400 combo mark, but the last full combo and Australia drops, and that's gonna be it. Ayamatsu as well, finally dropping one more time to seal this 17,000 points lead in favor of Chile. They had everything they asked for. 6 misses from Chile against 5 from Australia, but now 50 from Ayamatsu, and that 200 count proving to be a bit too much for the back of these players here. Unfortunately, it's a 3-0 lead now in favor of Chile, but this one really, really close.
Gotta be honest with you though, if you were to look at the ratios in general, I think Australia was better than Chile, but Miyuka's 150 something 300s essentially sealed the deal for them to win that point.
It really was. And again, this is what I'm talking about when the match started. Australia and Chile are not too far apart, especially when it comes to LNs and hybrids. But when you have a player like Miyuka just making such a big difference, you really need to be playing on top notch if you want to have chances against them. And I'm very surprised by this pick from Chile, actually. Daisy Cutter going for a lens, although this is actually one of the easier maps to choke, I think, in the LN department as well. So, interesting pick.
I do think it's an interesting pick, especially because I was thinking Chile could pick another Rice. So at the end of the day, if you want an LN pick, I think it should be safe to pick one more LN. But we have to see if this one's gonna work. I do think one of the worst points for Chile is probably they have a tendency to choke, but so does Australia. But accuracy-wise, it's really close with the exception of Nuka being a lot ahead of everyone else.
Certainly. And I'm not saying this is something that Chile cannot win. I think this is about like 50-50, which is why I think Chile should not just go for this. Like, they still have a jump stream pick to go for. They won very convincingly on the last one, and if anything, the remaining one, I think it's harder because it's so much faster. But we shall see if this strategy works out for the South Americans here, as it looks like right now they are very, very close again in this intro. No chokes. This map is so fun, by the way.
Yeah, this map is very chokeable. I've seen this in so many tournaments already. So this is the first time I see this in the 1.1 rate. But again, if you do not have this, freshly in your mind, and if you have it mind blocked, you are not going to be in a good position at all. And I do hope to see no mind blocks here.
You need a lot of control here. This section is so much harder than what it looks like. It is so easy to mind block and miss time. So 200s are prone to happen at any point in this transition. The player seems to have this section down pretty well. And the actors are not too far apart from Miyuka, of course. And into this last bit, this is when the party starts, because this is where the chokes are going to happen. I'm sure of it. Very, very tricky 3-lane inverse, and we see some 200s from Ruka. It seems to be about it, but after this, slowly transitioning out of this inverse, we'll get into the hardest part of the map.
It's so close right now, actually. Any break from Chile could give it away to Australia, but it's not gonna happen. I don't think this part is very choke heavy, except for the mini jack, which is gonna come in anytime soon. No chokes either.
No misses on the mini jack, and this denser section is not proving to be any sort of difficulty for any of the players other than Alternation, who finds the break at the very end, traded by Jam, but too late for Australia to capitalize off of it. And it's Chile again who takes the pick. And this time, I'll argue, even closer than before. Look at those 200s. All very, very close. 11-11, 10-13. It's just Miyuka again, 3 against 25 that makes the difference. But this one got a bit close. Had Alternation managed to full combo that ending, I think this would have been on the 4-digit difference.
Wait, they're picking Peta and not Marino? That's a big surprise.
Where is my SV?
Wait a minute.
Where is my SV? No.
But, this is... I do not think this is a viable strategy, because remember, Australia lost on both of the LNs. Australia lost on a hybrid. So probably one of your choices to pick is SV, and they did not go for that. That's a big surprise for me.
I mean, maybe they just didn't practice enough and they don't want to risk it. They feel more confident on something like this. And I'll argue, of all the LN picks that Australia had available, I mean, you can argue LN2, they had good chances because they had a 3-way FC. But I think this is the map that Chile will struggle the most out of the entire LN pool. So this will have been my second pick, really, if I was Australia. Considering they did very well in the hybrid as well, it's hard to blame them. But I'm not sure if this is a bad pick. I don't necessarily think this is a bad pick. Of course, I wanted to see SV2, but we'll see. Maybe Australia wins this and we have a chance to see it as well. I hate this song, by the way.
I don't really know. I have no comment towards the song, honestly. But looking at Faziel's early 200s, that's gonna hurt. But I just noticed that I and Masu also had some 200 at the start, though it should not matter too much at the end of the day. Oh wait, what? Wow, alright. This map is a very 200 bait map, I guess is what you could call it.
Yep, it absolutely is. You really need to be very, very confident on your release skills to get good accuracy on this. And so far, you can see Ruka, being the Elena specialist that he is, holding a very strong accuracy, fairly close to Miyuka. But Ayamasu now finds a drop, and that is very, very, very bad. Because as hard as this map is to accuracy, it is not very hard to combo. So any miss will be insanely important. And there is one from Chile.
Time.
Wow. 99.34% accuracy. Fast is dropping a little. So is Jan, actually. So if Australia can keep up this ratio for just a little bit longer, they may have enough time to just recover off of the back of that trade. And this lead is so small right now.
It's getting really small. I think Faz matching Ayamasu's act. Oh, actually getting a lot lower now. That is going to probably give Australia the door that they really, really need.
And again, you see Faz struggling a lot with the release timings. Look at that spread. The hit spread is very, very tight and early when it comes to hits, but when it comes to releases, it's all over the place, mostly on the dragging side of things. And that is what's causing Chile to be very on the edge throughout this map. And with still a third of it remaining, the difference is just about 1,400 points. So anything can happen, really.
Yeah, I mean, so far, both of the teams are able to recover really well on the combo side. No misses for Miyuka Jan and Ruka in alternation. And so far, the acts have stayed relatively the same, but Ayamasu has been increasing it faster than Faz has increased. So this could probably go to Australia if it just keeps on going.
But I think eyes on Jan, of all players, he's the one who needs to keep this accuracy afloat as much as possible. Same for alternation. You kind of expect Ruka and Miyuka to be fighting against each other. But can these two key players now keep up with the rest of this? This is a very, very tricky section as well to coordinate. Those same hand release shields are very, very tricky. None of the players are struggling on them. An alternation finally misses.
There we
go.
No. I think that seals the deal for Chile unless you see a team miss. And that doesn't look like it's gonna happen. This part is not that difficult compared to like the chorus or something. But alternation misses once more. I think that just secures it. And Chile is gonna take 5 points now from Australia, while Australia has none so far.
And again, you see this ratio from Australia being overall better. Other than Miyuka, again on the 994.9k, being the absolute MVP of this matchup. And even the 200 count, I think if you combine all of the 200s between Australia and Chile, Chile just barely wins. It comes again off the back of the misses and of that suboptimal maybe performance by Australia. I feel that on peak, they would have taken that map just easily, really.
Yeah,
now
that was
Ego.
Really unfortunate. So it looks
no
like
OSB. I cry.
Same, I cry as well. But yeah, Ego going to be the pick for Chile. I'm not surprised. So we're gonna see Fluffy GMD for the first time in this match. I'm not surprised as well. I was actually expecting Fluffy to play for something like Ram a while ago. So it doesn't seem like Fluffy may have been comfortable there. Though right now is their chance to shine.
I think this map is so hard compared to everything else on the pool, really, because 271 BPM are already on quarterfinals. Sure, it's mostly broken jump string, so it gives you some time to like rest your hands, but also doesn't, because having breaks on maps like this, depending on the player, really can even be an unhelpful thing. If you're not very good at control, this is something that can definitely throw you off.
Wait a minute, Fluffy starting off with an 85 a while ago as you were talking about control. That is not a good sign already.
He's rushing a lot, by the way, and he misses, and he's not comfortable at all. I feel that maybe he just has a wrong scroll speed or something, because he's hitting way too early, fairly consistently early as well. It's not like he's very spread. Niflox now drops again from Chile, but considering this performance by Fluffy, he's just so much more behind, and it doesn't really matter for Chile, really, at this point. It's a huge lead, and it's still 2/3 of the map remaining.
But what can I just say? Yuka with a 19.96 on a map like this? Well, should we even be surprised at this point?
Nah, I don't think. This is just average Miyuka plays.
Fluffy recovered pretty well, racing that act to 95 despite the potential scroll speed difference. I'm just really happy that these players are able to pull through despite conditions.
Oh, absolutely. You always like to see new people and as many players to have their chance to play. The worst case scenario is just get your nerves off, and next year you come back even stronger, really. This time from Fluffy, unfortunately not the ideal scenario really on a map that is this hard. It is very, very tricky to join a lobby like this. But if it still manages to keep up into the S rank territory here, and unfortunately for Australia, that will be it. And there's another 33 regulars from Miyuka. Not quite 999k. Miyuka, come on. What's up? 49 points off? Like 149 points off. Come on. You can't do better, right? What the hell is that score?
I know, man. How? Alright, according to the chat, it was a wrong scroll speed issue indeed. Unfortunately, this would also be the last time we'll see Australia in the Oceania 4K World Cup for 2022, but they absolutely did their best and was able to push through to quarterfinals, and I think that's an achievement in itself, considering how stacked this tournament has been.
Oh, absolutely. And against Chile, of all the teams, really, you're facing a very challenging opponent, and it's perfectly reasonable. Sometimes matches don't go your way, and I'll argue Australia had their chances on the lands and hybrids, really. But Chile was just ever so slightly ahead in everything, really. And now they'll have to face Indonesia, 14 UTC today. So in about 12 hours is when these two teams are gonna fight against each other for a spot into the semi-finals.
Gotta say though, Indonesia versus Chile, we saw that match last year. Will we be able to see them take redemption against Indonesia?
That's true. Indonesia won, right?
Yeah, I remember it was Indonesia winning 6-4. Though right now, Chile has another chance for redemption, and I want to see how Indonesia and Chile are going to face each other. But for now, we'll be having a very, very big one. I believe this is a winner's bracket match, which is going to be South Korea versus the United States of America.
Oh boy. What a match, right?
And man, I have no clue at all at how this match is going to go through.
I mean,
I just realized something, Juan.
What is it?
USA and Singapore face each other, and Korea versus Canada face each other. And they're happening on the same time, but they just switched.
Well, I mean, Canada took 3 points off of Korea, and Singapore took the US to tiebreaker. So if anything, this match is just promising. Both really are promising. Singapore and Canada and South Korea versus the United States. Those two matches are just going to be very, very big hype moments, I believe. And historically, we saw South Korea versus US so many times. I think it's just a regular match you expect to see every year. I will like actually a statistic, really. I believe they faced up against each other every single year so far since 2014. With the exception of 2014.
Year.
They did it?
I
think they did.
I don't think they did, but
I thought Korea eliminated the US.
No. The team that eliminated US last year was it was Brazil. They were in the grand finals. Okay,
Yeah.
but regardless, US faced Korea in most of the MWCs. Let's just put it like that.
I'm checking the bracket real quick now. I'm mad.
So, yeah. For the meantime, is this it for both of us? Is this it for the both of us for the meantime?
I believe so. Yeah, this will be the last block. Not the last block, but rather the last match I do for now. I'll be back, I believe, tomorrow morning.
All right,
but you're gonna stay, right? You need to commentate these hype matches, really.
Exactly. Gotta keep the hustle. So, we hope you have a good time, and thank you so much for commentating with us, Juan. We'll be having a commentator switch in about 30 minutes, so please stay tuned, everyone. You don't want to miss this match.
しいね意味求め合うと悲しいね I wanna kill myself やめてよ zip it もう聞きたくないの傷を見せてって言えないよ覗き込んだって見えないよ I wanna kill myself やめてよ zip it もう聞きたくない君の存在 You don't give me no sign I can't control But I can't control 君の存在もう can't control 私 can't control 傷を舐め合うと苦しい理由違うの全部違うの重ねたところから影になってやがて腐りゆくんだ It's wrong, it's wrong 認めてしまうとしまいだに対してしまう前に繋いだだからこぼれ落ちていること That's right, right なお君の存在 You don't give me no sign I can't control But I can't control
Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Mania 4K World Cup 2022. And for this time, we're gonna be having a huge match coming up in the winners bracket quarterfinals, which is gonna be the 3rd seeded South Korea versus the 11th seeded United States. And along with that, we'll also be having a commentator change, as I'm Silo SKLs, but now joining me is going to be Sparky. Hello there, how are you doing today?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I have had this match penned down since last week. This is going to be a very explosive matchup in the winners bracket. Like you were saying, South Korea going against the United States here. The United States, I would say the heavy underdog in this matchup. South Korea has been putting on quite a bit of a show throughout their tournament run so far, and it would be very exciting to see how these two match up. That is to say, though, this isn't the only match we have going on right now during this block. We will have Singapore versus Canada as well in the lower bracket. If you guys want to keep track of that, that'll be the match feed will be in the Twitch chat for you guys to click on.
Gotta say, isn't it a weird coincidence that South Korea and Canada was the match a while ago, and I mean, like in the previous round, while United States and Singapore was the previous round's matchup, and now they're happening at the same time.
It's an incredible coincidence. It's amazing how the schedule works out sometimes, and it's it's actually kind of funny the fact that both teams that won are facing each other at the exact same time that both teams that lost against these two teams are playing right now at this very instance. But with that being said, it looks like the players are loaded up into the lobby. We'll be getting into those roles, and it'll be interesting to see what both teams have brewed up for the bans.
Speaking of bans, I will not be surprised to see a Rice ban from the South Korean team. Something like Fiona could work, especially considering how good the United States is at speed in general. And as for the United States, I would be expecting an Ellen hybrid ban. I think the SVs will both be open.
That's a pretty good prediction. I could definitely see South Korea knocking out a Rice pick here. It looks like the roles are starting to come out. That being said, with the United States, definitely not the stalwart SV team that we've seen in years past. Would not be surprised if they decided to divert and go down into that SV, get rid of something like Marinol or Lion Zeta. So it looks like the United States has won the role 67-25. So I believe South Korea will be banning first, if I recall the proceedings correctly.
Yep, I mean, Polka did roll lower, so South Korea is going to be the one that's gonna ban first. So, yeah, like what I was saying, I'm expecting a Rice ban. Yeah, Fiona, there we go. That's exactly the map that I was expecting.
Right on cue. You nailed it right on the head. Knowing what the South Koreans are comfortable with, Rice won, obviously not one of those picks, and they know how devastatingly accurate this United States roster is on those Rice picks. Definitely not surprised seeing that one being gotten rid of here.
Yeah, Mirror and Dev are amazing backups as well for speed, so definitely you would want to avoid that. As for the United States, I think we should be seeing something like Peta Peta being banned. Yeah, there we go, Peta Peta is gonna be banned, especially considering how I think in terms of LNs, releases is something that the United States team could work a little bit more on.
Absolutely, 2 for 2 on those predictions. It's like you have your finger on the pulse of both of these teams. As it stands, it looks like it is going to be Rice 1 and LN1 getting banned. Both SV picks making it through the ban proceedings. A rare sight so far throughout this World Cup, so it'll be interesting to see who decides to go down there first.
Yeah, and wait, something to take note of. Both SVs are open for this match. I think that's a very interesting one because both teams practice SV. I'm pretty sure both teams are pretty good at it as well. But it's really just up to who's gonna be the more consistent one, as SVs generally have lesser notes than your typical pick. So essentially, the fewer mistakes you make would be so much more important than making fewer mistakes on, like, let's say, a very long stamina pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Marinol definitely on that lighter side. Very few notes to work with. A miss would be absolutely devastating. But right now we are waiting for the United States to make their first pick here. And it looks like it's going to be NP Addiction coming out here. Rice 3. Unsurprising given the strategy that they took against Singapore, opting to stick with the Rice pool to try and do the most damage here.
Alright, well, going for the stamina pick. I mean, of course, why not? Considering that this is a Rice versus LN hybrid match, I think. But the reason why I think NP Addiction is their choice is maybe you'd want to see how South Korea does an awkwardish patterns. And at the end of the day, that's a good way to test it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're starting a match off, you have a little bit of nerves. The stakes start getting a little bit higher. Thankfully for both these teams, it is a winner's bracket matchup, so not too much on the line. Tournament lives aren't on the line just yet, but still, you want to try and keep that winner's bracket run going as long as possible, and that might be weighing in the back of the minds of the players involved. It looks like right on cue, we have the United States Rice roster loaded up. Grip Warrior, LS Dev, and Crazy Mitter getting logged in here, Poka Gaisel, and it looks like it is going to be Snowscent coming in to round out this South Korean roster. Poka and Snowscent in particular have been doing absolute work throughout this tournament with their consistency on all sides of these map pools.
Yeah, Snowscent I've known Snowscent to be really good in 2018 for MWC, and it's such a nice surprise to see them play in this year, considering how much the scene has evolved, and they've kept up so well with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And Poka has been a nice addition to this roster as well, being able to provide that second layer of support to Snowscent and really form quite a devastating battering ram that has been taking teams for a ride throughout their matches. And right now it just seems like we are waiting for Snowscent to either get online or get added to the server. We'll get that squared away relatively soon so we can get into this first map. Don't want these players to get too cold after their very long warm-ups, you would imagine.
Well, that's true, and speaking of warm-ups, it could be detrimental to either of these teams if the wait that's been happening so far due to a server issue or something. It could affect these teams, but considering how good they all are, I think this should not be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Consummate professionals across this lobby, but it looks like Snowscent isn't available to be added, so there might be an emergency substitution for South Korea. Probably not an ideal situation, but they definitely have players capable of handling this pick.
Alright, I think according to the chat, there is Snowscent. I cannot wait to see how this one goes. Poka Gaisol, Snowscent. These three players are very, very good physically, but so are Grip Warrior, Dev, and Mitter. Those three in particular have so many scores that have been out of this world, like that double helix score that we saw last week. Certainly, a 2993 on a map like that is unheard of.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely capable of handling these more physical charts, especially ones of this length. Clocking in at just over 3 minutes, going to be quite a test of everybody's physical stamina, but then you start to wonder about the mental stamina as well. You start getting those patterns, they start getting repetitive after a while, and it looks like everybody is ready. We're going to get into this first map of this best of 11. First team to 6 will be taking a ride into the semifinals in that winner's bracket.
Yeah, securing a semifinals berth in the winners bracket would mean that you'd be at least top 6 or a finalist in the Mania World Cup scene, and I think both teams would absolutely want that.
Yeah, for sure, and these first notes are probably going to tell us a lot in terms of where the players are mentally. It's always when it's at its lightest that it's the most dangerous, but then it starts to pick up, and here we go.
See, when it comes to experience, I think South Korea has a slight advantage in that regard. But in terms of the skill and talent in general, the United States is no slouch as well. And it's showing right now. Everyone in the lobby maintaining a 99.9.
Yeah, these players are gonna stay in lockstep with each other for a very long time throughout this map. Everybody, like you said, holding in that 99.9 range. The United States taking a bit of an advantage here right out of the gate, going into the second quarter of the map. But Midor's gonna be finding the first drop here.
That is not good news because South Korea is maintaining, or at least almost at the 99.9. In fact, they're doing so right now. But the United States still has an insane accuracy. So if one mistake from South Korea happens, it's gonna go back to the United States really, really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. The recovery run from Midor is well underway, back over that 400 combo cap, and didn't take too much damage in terms of accuracy. 99.84 is still a very formidable score, but they're gonna have to see if the South Koreans make a mistake going into the second third of the map.
But Midor has increased that accuracy really well. In fact, matching Gaysol with a miss, I think, should give United States a lead if they were triple full comboing, as Polka has also dropped that accuracy. But Midor drops once more time, and that is not good.
Definitely not good in the slightest. As we make our way into the back half of the map, that one's going to start doing a little bit of damage. They were doing so well to recover. They, like you said, they managed to match Gaysol and Polka as well. But that drop is going to hurt the score just a little bit more. It's going to make the task a little bit harder as we make our way into the last third of the map. Grip Warrior and Dev need to really stay solid here in this last part of the map. Snowcent doing work, trying to stay in lockstep with Dev and Grip Warrior here.
That's just Snowcent. Being at the forefront of the South Korean team, you really need to perform that well if you want the secure lead, and it looks like it's gonna be South Korea's point to take, but there's still a lot of time actually, and the United States still not that far behind.
For sure, last quarter of the map still to go. 3 FCs for the South Koreans, 2 for the United States. You would imagine if there's a break this late, it would be absolutely devastating for the South Koreans, but for right now, they are holding strong, they are holding steady. The nerves have yet to make their appearance for the South Koreans, and as it stands, they're going to be looking to try and take this first break point to start this match off.
Just very unfortunate, because if you were to look at the accuracies of the United States, it was just better than South Korea by a tad bit. So if it weren't for those 2 misses, I think the United States would have taken this. But it's been very close, and they should not be demotivated as it's only 1-0. There's still a lot of room. And wow, that was almost a triple V1 double S as well.
Oh my goodness, the 2 singular mistakes in that run, marring an incredible team score, and South Korea takes the first point in this match, the first break point as well, going back to their pick. See what they decide to go with here.
Yeah, that was really, really close as well. It was just unfortunate to see those 2 misses. And as for the other match, it seems like it's 1-0 for Singapore, as Canada lost their pick on Justify My Love.
Okay, so 2 different approaches taken by 2 different teams, and right now it's still very early on, a lot of room to recover, and we did see this with the United States against Singapore. They did give away a couple of breakpoints, but they were able to make up for it on that lower half of the map pool, and it is going to be Desperado Waltz LN2 getting picked by South Korea to kick their match off.
Desperado Waltz, stuff like this I really think South Korea has an advantage on, especially considering how high the LN ceiling is, and for a team like that, who can essentially kill LNs at any stage, whether it's from round of 32 to grand finals, a pick like this would really benefit them.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many places where you can just find your accuracy going out the window, just chaining misses left and right, just due to the raw density found in this map. So it'll be very interesting to see if the United States can bounce back and try and take this breakpoint back. We see Sun Apple coming in for Dev. No substitutions so far for South Korea. You wonder if this is going to be the LN lineup as well.
I mean, I'm not surprised to see Sun Apple. Mitter has actually been performing really well on the LNs. And that surprised me for round of 32 and round of 16, but for quarterfinals, I'm not surprised to see Mitter anymore.
Yeah, for sure, the physicality is reaching a point where they really start to get a chance to shine. And it looks like the players are ready. We are going to get into the second map. Only one substitution for throughout all 6 players. Let's see how Sun Apple does as well as their team.
Kind of surprised not to see Sudden Death on the South Korean side, but if these 3 had better scores than Sudden Death, then this is definitely the lineup you should go for.
For sure, no immediate trip-ups, and we see throughout this introduction, Poca standing tall above everybody else. Mitter not too far behind, and you'd imagine the accuracy is going to start evening out as the density begins to ramp up throughout this map.
Oh, as they say that Snow Scent is dropped to the 99.6 range, which ideally should give United States overall just a better score, as Gaysol also almost dropped to that area, but Poca with the 99.93 still keeping it afloat for South Korea, but the United States overall just a lot better in the average act department.
For sure, it's going to be interesting to see how Poca stands through this last 2/3 of the map. Get a bit of a break here to regain your composure and take stock of the situation before things start to build back up. And right now we are playing tug of war with this leaderboard. It is very close going into the back half of the map.
What is going on right now? The United States, I think, has a minor lead, and oh, there it is!
Oh my goodness, this is being separated by the narrowest of counts. I imagine there's maybe like 2 or 3 200s separating both of these teams. And Mitter finds the first couple of drops, and there's the chain misses that I was talking about. As the density begins to ramp up, it is so easy to find yourself dropping more and more, and that is going to be catastrophic for this United States roster as South Korea takes a commanding lead going into the last third of the map.
Oh my goodness, that was a very unfortunate chain miss. But regardless, I don't know who would actually take that, considering that South Korea overall has now increased that accuracy to at least a 99.7 each player. And I think that essentially seals the deal unless chain misses happen from multiple players from South Korea, which could happen on that ending.
Yeah, for sure, but it would have to be a total team collapse to hand it back over to the United States this late on in, and Mitter finds another slider break, and that is probably going to spell the end of this map as we make our way towards the ending.
Oh man, everyone just hit that ending perfectly, including Mitter, despite those initial misses. Very impressive, and wow, what is that ratio from Poca and Grip Warrior?
1-200 each. And Poca wins out on the 300 counts by the narrowest of margins. Those are 2 very impressive scores, but South Korea had that just tiny bit more support. Gaysol and Snowsen doing their part as well to put South Korea 2-0 up, with the United States up to pick next.
It was really surprising as well. Like, when I was looking at the ratios, it was really, really close between South Korea and the United States. I was kind of expecting a little bit of a fall off from the United States, but it seems like they're keeping up with South Korea in the LN department.
Yeah, for sure. This is I think there were some questions going into this tournament as to how well the United States would scale with LNs and hybrids, and it looks like they are up to the task. It's just those couple of misses from some of their key players that are really doing them in right now. But like I said, they had this sort of thing happen to them against Singapore, and they were able to bounce back. I would not be surprised if they decided to go... Oh, they're going with hybrids here. It's going to be Azure Vixen coming out.
It's very surprising. I was expecting something like, let's say, Justify My Love, or maybe even Ego. But alright, looks like they're going for a hybrid route. I mean, you already had Rice, you already had LN, so why not go for something else? And that would be hybrid. I can see where they're coming from, but they have to be really careful as to who should play this.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Tristan Jacob could come in for the United States. I think he's known to be really good at hybrid as well. But for South Korea, I would not be surprised to see sudden death instead of someone like Gaysol. There we go, sudden death indeed.
You have something a little bit more unbalanced in terms of Rice and LN. True to form with the hybrid category, it does lean certain ways on some maps, but overall, true test for how well-rounded these teams are, and bit of a surprise seeing it come out from the United States, but I think last week they did find a lot of success in those hybrids to make their way back when the Rice pick started going the way of Singapore. So not surprised to see that adjustment come out this week. It's all up to them to perform now.
Looks like Sun Apple staying for the United States. I think they're not going to change anything at all. So this is going to be an interesting one. Can the US potentially take a point finally from South Korea? Because right now, they're in a minor disadvantage, but the key word is minor, as it's not been that much yet.
For sure, still very early on, and there's still plenty of opportunities for them to take points here, and they're gonna have to do it on something like Azure Vixen. And as we make our way through the build-up, very good starts all across the board, everybody hanging out in that like 99.8% range on average as we make our way into the first drop. And it looks like the United States is going to have a tiny bit of an advantage as the accuracy starts to even out. Sun Apple falling a little bit behind here, a couple of 200s coming out, but still able to hold on just ever so slightly. Oh my goodness, they are battling once again here.
Really, the difference is just between Sudden Death and Sun Apple. It's really, really close. But we're not seeing any breaks so far. And that's really impressive to see, but I think South Korea has the minor advantage given that Grip Warrior Emitter has also the piece of Rex slightly behind Poka and Snowstem.
Yeah, for sure. Poka once again putting up a very considerable performance here. 99.86, highest in the lobby, and keeping the United States at bay as we make our way into the back half of the map. Another break greets these players.
Here we go. It's a break, and yeah, you must hope for South Korea to have some breaks here and there. If you could secure a triple FC, that would be very nice, but if the accuracy is not there, then unfortunately you will not be taking the point. So far, the accuracy drop hasn't been too much, with the exception of Sun Apple being a little bit behind everyone now. But Sudden Death also drops up 200, so that could probably make it closer.
Yeah, right now all eyes on Snowstem and Mitter. They're the ones duking it out. Grip Warrior trying to catch up to Poka here and make some inroads in this lead. As we make our way into the last drop, the LN structure starts to get a little bit more complicated here. Last quarter of the map still to go, and you would imagine this is the opportunity for the United States to make some kind of strike here. It's very easy to start chopping some of these releases and drop a couple of unfortunate 200, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to be doing that anytime soon. Last quarter of the map still to go. South Korea still holding on to this lead.
Oh my goodness! It's not a big lead, but a lead is a lead, and if they can keep the triple full combo, it's South Korea's point to take once more, and could give them a 3-0 advantage, which would be really bad. And Sun Apple missing. That, I think, seals the deal for the South Korean team to take another point from the United States, and that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it happened right at the very end of the map. I mean, to be fair, the average accuracy was on the side of South Korea. They were firmly in control during that pick, but it's just unfortunate that choke coming out right at the end. And South Korea goes up 3-0 now.
Oh man, this is not a good position to be in if you're the United States. But we've seen some comebacks here and there. We did see Germany coming back in that match against China, if I remember correctly, and also Indonesia coming back against that match versus Hong Kong. So it's not impossible yet. 3-0 or any lead at that is not impossible, as long as they have not reached the amount of points required in order to win.
For sure, but for right now, it is going to be South Korea's pick, and they're going to go for SV1. They're going to be the ones to dive into what I would consider to be a bit of a wild card pick, SV1.
This, I gotta say, this map is difficult. It's 86, but regardless, it's still easy to drop 200s. And we're gonna be seeing Tristan Jacob and I believe A Sharp. Not surprised to see them, and I think we should be seeing LS Dev come in as well.
Yeah, full team swap for the United States. A Sharp, Tristan Jacob, and Dev. Lianek coming in for South Korea. And then just one more. 5 out of 6 lined up here. And I think this is the safer of the two SV picks, despite the fact that it is a little bit more visually complicated to Marisol, because Marisol, with the low note count, just makes every single judgment all that more important. Now, looks like we're going to see Gaesol coming back in for South Korea to round out the rosters. So as it stands, all players are ready. We are going to get into this 4th map of this best of 11. It is going to be Line Zeta coming out, our first SV pick of the match. Of a possible 2, both of them survived. It'll be interesting to see if anybody picks Marisol after this.
That's true, and as you said, I think any mistakes in an SV map is just going to be fatal.
For sure, the LN structures are going to be what everybody needs to watch out for. Very easy to find yourself overholding and spiking a miss inadvertently because of sudden teleports. And there's a 200 from Gaesol. Right out of the gate, it's very easy to point out where the accuracy drops are on SV picks like this because of the low note count.
Oh, but I see Dev dropping at 200, but I think Lianek is also kind of behind, so it ultimately does not affect it too much. Though, at the meantime, it's really, really close. Poca versus Tristan Jacob, A Sharp versus Gaesol, and Dev versus Lianek seems to be the matchups that we're going to be having. And it's up to each player to try and take the edge over their corresponding player.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, it looks like Dev is winning the battle against Lianek, and that's keeping the lead ever so slightly in favor of the United States. It's really up to Tristan and A Sharp to maintain the accuracies and not let Gaesol and Poca overwhelm them here as we make our way into the back half of the map. And oh my goodness, these are some incredible runs we're seeing all across the board. 6 FCs still left on the board, and I dare I say some V1SSs as well.
Some of the 200s that Tristan Jacob got there unfortunately gives a slight edge to South Korea, but Lianek is now at the 99.3 range. Any more 200 counts from them would give the lead to the United States. It's really just Poca at this point, but oh, that's a huge lead now to the United States.
Oh, big accuracy drop.
More 200s from Lianek. That is not a good sign. Well, the United States is keeping that 99.6. Very important for them to take a break point at this time in the match.
Yeah, they need to hold. Last sliver of map left to go. There is no more room for error for either of these teams. And incredibly, there are still 6 FCs still left on the board. Accuracies can get thrown out the window. Everything is just about survival here on these last islands. And Tristan Jacob finds a break.
Is there enough time though? Here's the last part. And the United States is gonna take a break point, almost losing it after Tristan Jacob misses. But the accuracy advantage is way too big for the South Korean team to even take advantage of.
Okay, hold on. Can we just talk about Poca? V1SSS 142, 994,000 points on an SV pick. Is there nothing this player cannot do? They have been the anchor for South Korea, but it is not enough as the United States picks up their first point in this match, and they are going to go straight back into that rice pool. Ego is going to be the pick here.
Oh man, considering that Poca also got 10:1 ratio in SV, that is scary.
That's absolutely terrifying for any team that goes up against the South Korean roster. They are so well-rounded. That being said, they are not infallible. They do have weaknesses, and the United States able to pick up a point here to try and recover from this 3-0 deficit. 3-1 now, an opportunity to try and continue the momentum here to try and equalize this match.
Man, so looks like this is a chance for United States to potentially take a point off South Korea again on the rice map. We did see that in the first pick, United States had the superior accuracy, but South Korea had the ultimate consistency, which you could not sleep on, and that's why South Korea won that pick.
Absolutely, and we see another full roster swap from the United States. Grip Warrior, Midder, and Dev. This is the quintessential lineup for the United States. These three are the ones that are really carrying the full brunt of the weight when it comes to the pressure of all of these rice picks, because it is so easy to find drops here and there, and when every player is as good as they are, anything below a 300 is detrimental, let alone the misses. And as we get into this fifth map of this best of 11, let's see if the United States can build on taking that break point and work their way back towards equality here.
That is true. They really need it right now. They need to try to take this point for themselves. And Poker right now with a 100% on like the first 100 notes. But wait a minute, Sudden Death Hack is behind the rest of the players in the lobby, and that's what's giving United States that lead that they need. And another drop for Sudden Death. Unfortunate, actually.
Yeah, that being said, very early on, gonna have plenty of time to make the recovery run here. That being said, dropping down to that 99.5 range is gonna give the United States a bit of a buffer to work with. All three of their players in at 99.8% range. They need to stay in lockstep with Poka as best as they can, with Snowstent not too far behind to back them up. But Poka finds the first drop here.
That was unfortunate. I think I also saw 100 to come with that. United States though, 99.87, and two 99.9s now. And I think it's increasing, but Snowstent is matching that accuracy, and they really need that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a break here so the players can see just how that introduction went. The United States is going to know that they are ahead right now. All three of their players need to hold their composure here. They have had the accuracy. It has just been those little drops here and there that have cost them on these rice picks, but there's only a quarter of map left to go, and right now they are holding strong. But as I say that, Midder finds a drop.
But that's not gonna matter too much because Poka did have that one miss buffer, but the United States absolutely cannot miss now. Grip Warrior drops some ag, and that's scary, but Dev is sticking to that 99.89, and that's so important. The US takes it by a hair, only around 2,500 points of difference.
Oh my goodness, that was so close to being a disaster for the United States. Once again, Snowstent with the V1SS, basically single-handedly almost taking that point back for South Korea, but the United States doing just enough to make it 3-2 now.
Dev with an insane score as well, MVPing the lobby basically. But can we talk about Poka's 76 300s as well?
Oh my goodness, the scores these players can put up are mind-boggling. It is unfortunate that they had that 100 and missed. If they managed to keep that run clean, we would be seeing a completely different scoreline right now. But with that being said, it is back to South Korea to pick, and I could see Daisy Cutter coming out here.
Yeah, I think Daisy Cutter could work, but why not the hybrids? I mean, Meteor and Shooks and Summer, I think, could also be useful. Though, okay, they're going for Daisy Cutter, as you called it, right on cue for your case.
Yeah, it's a little risky. I mean, Azure Vixen did go the way of South Korea towards the very end, but I mean, with how consistent the United States is on the right side of things, the Allen structures might not be heavy enough to pose that much of a challenge for the United States. And we see A Sharp coming in for this pick instead of Sun Apple, so a bit of a roster swap here. Midder staying in to back up Grip Warrior as well, and no substitution so far from the side of Korea.
I'm very surprised to see A Sharp. I mean, if there was one player that I was expecting to be replaced, it would have been Midder. But wow, it does seem like they're gonna go for Grip Warrior, Midder, and A Sharp. That's still an LNT not to be slept on, so you gotta be careful if you were South Korea.
For sure, there might be enough, like, more jack elements, some short LNs that might bode more comfortable for A Sharp over Sun Apple. So it just depends on how the practice goes. It looks like there aren't going to be any substitutions for South Korea. Sudden Death, Gaisel, and Poka going to be contesting the United States on Daisy Cutter here, trying to stave off this comeback that the United States is starting to mount here. Let's see how the players do.
We'll see how this one goes. I mean, South Korea, I think, should be the favorites to win an LN pick, but US is also really good at those kinds of skill set.
Yeah, for sure. And this map, just like Desperado Waltz, littered with choke points. There's so many short LNs that might cause you to finger lock a little bit. And as we make our way into this first chorus, we see a couple of 200s coming out from some of the players. Sudden Death taking a little bit of damage here going into the second quarter of the map. But still, this is very much up in the air. 6 full combos still left on the board here.
Wow, this act from the United States, I think is... Oh wait, I don't know who has the advantage now. Okay, but Gaisel dropped a ton there. Okay, that should give it to the US.
This is teetering on a knife's edge right now. Just those couple of 200s coming out. It's basically Mitter versus Sudden Death, A Sharp and Gaisel and Grip Warrior Poka basically mirrored across from each other going into the last third of the map, and this is still anyone's game.
As long as no one drops, I think this should be the United States pick to win. Because Sudden Death has dropped an accuracy and another 200. No one chokes at that mini jack. That part is very fatal for those who mind blocked it. And as I say that, Mitter is gonna drop. But is it enough? I think it is. The lead is slowly going to the South Korean team, but it's not moving. Give this a moment. Okay, there it is.
They need to get back over that 400 combo cap quick. There is not a lot of time left.
Wait a minute.
Oh, it was coming down to the wire. Oh, but South Korea, there's a couple of 200s coming out from A Sharp. Oh, there's a
oh my god! And that gives it to the United States! But, oh my god, what just happened?
That is a slider break versus a miss at the very, very last run. Oh my goodness, I don't have any words. My jaw is on the floor. What are some of these scores? Grip Warrior with a V1SS. Is A Sharp not too far behind? What just happened here? It is 3-3 now.
He's had a heart attack there, and Grip Warrior immediately going for breaking rules. I like this pick. Considering that Poka has missed on 2 of the most recent maps, you gotta go for something chokeable, right? So United States going for breaking rules makes a lot of sense for me.
Absolutely. This is one of the most chokeable maps in this pool. There are so many mini jacks. The tech sections throughout this map can give you fits if you're going for accuracy. And if you find yourself choking at the ends of maps, and it starts to wear on you a little bit mentally, and we see more substitutions coming out from both rosters. We see Snowsen and Tristan Jacob checking in. Oh my goodness, this is turning out to be a bit of a show now.
I had a heart attack watching that. Remember when it was like 3-0 in South Korea's favor? Look who's laughing now.
Exactly. Those that were saying, "Oh, this is gonna be a sweep. This is easy. South Korea's got this." Look where we're at now. It's 3-3.
Give us a moment though. Look at this interesting switch. Tristan Jacob coming in for the United States team. Well, I do think this is an essential switch, given that Mitter has been missing on some of these maps. But remember that Tristan Jacob also had a miss of his own on that SV pick. So let's see how that cancels out.
It remains to be seen. All bets are off. We are all square once again. Basically restarting the match. The first 6 maps were a mulligan. This is really where things start to get serious.
And serious indeed. Well, these misses, those are not real misses, right?
No, those are not real misses. I hope and pray that they're not, because the match just started. Okay,
So
no misses
far.
from anybody here.
So far, so good, but Tristan Jacob has dropped a slightly accuracy. Though Dev and Grip Warrior are just anchoring the United States as much as they need. But Tristan Jacob drops! That's not good news! And that was a good drop as well. Looks like this pick is backfiring for the United States, but it's still early on. I mean, both teams just reached the combo cap, and that's what makes it heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. Already a quarter of the way into the map. 2 combos gone on the side of the United States. That being said, Grip Warrior, highest accuracy in the lobby, but being trailed close behind by Poka. Gonna make it hard for the United States to make some inroads in this lead. That being said, all the mini jacks littered throughout this map are ripe for the picking, and there goes sudden death. And now the lead starts to trickle just a little bit more towards the right here, as both Tristan Jacob and Dev have recovered very well from their early misses. But that being said, it's still on the side of South Korea with half the map still to go.
You would need a miss from either Poka or Snowset, or maybe even another miss on their end.
Oh, there was Poka!
Poka, as I called it! I think the lead should be closer now! It could be turning to the United States anytime soon!
Dev
It's getting closer and closer!
Oh my goodness. It's starting to trickle over. There's only a quarter of the map left to go. Dev has recovered from their miss. Tristan Jacob has recovered from their miss as well. Oh my goodness, it's gonna come down to accuracy. Grip Warrior needs to pick up the pace just a tiny bit if they want to try and make it over. Last little map left to go.
It's getting so close! United States can still take it! Wait a minute, who's gonna take it? Any 200 drops here would give it to the US! I think the South Korean team takes it by the skin of their teeth! That's like 300 Wait, 300, 400? I don't know, but it's really close. Oh my god.
That came down to the wire. Just like Daisy Cutter, not as tragic in terms of a miss, but still, you had the momentum going. But those 2 early misses from the United States proved to be just a little bit too much to overcome here. An amazing performance from Snowsen to keep Grip Warrior in check, and South Korea goes back up 4-3 now.
Oh man, this match has given me like how many heart attacks already. This was no exception.
I am currently having years shaved off of my life. This has been quite the showing so far from both of these lineups. This is a lot closer than some might have been expecting. And you can see it's starting to wear on the players. Nerves are starting to creep in as this match starts to wear on. It's going to become a composure test as we make our way into the back half of this match. There are no more LN picks left, and the hybrids are really risky here for South Korea. What do you go for in this situation?
Like, look, like as I was saying. Oh man. Wait, I don't know what to say even. My heart has just been racing really fast.
We've just gotta take a deep breath. Hybrid 2 is coming out. We're at the tail end of summer, and summer is going to be the pick for South Korea here.
Speaking of which, just wondering, considering the name, which side will the sun shine into? Will it be the South Korean team who would really have a good advantage if that happens? Or could it rise again for the United States, for them to get another chance at taking or potentially taking South Korea to a tiebreaker? So it looks like we're gonna be having A Sharp coming in. I like that switch considering how A Sharp did in Daisy Cutter.
For sure, Mitter coming in as well. You can imagine that some of the nerves might be starting to get frayed just a little bit here on both ends. You want to make sure that your players are composed, maybe giving up a song off. If the scores are really close in those practice lobbies, then I mean, you just got to make sure you put your best players forward at the right times. Any missteps here could prove to be disaster for either of these teams. South Korea looking to try and make it match point. The United States trying to notch this up once again. They were down 3-0. They made it 3-3. They are definitely here for a fight.
If there's something that I think really contributed to the United States, it's certainly their accuracy overall. It's just really been slightly better than South Korea. But at the same time, they have been picking the maps that they think one of the South Korean players like Poka or Sudden Death will break, and they've been doing an absolutely amazing job. They've done their homework, did the research, And now it's paying off. It's really, really close, and it's really just a battle for anyone right now.
For sure. And as we load into summer, oh my goodness, I am on the edge of my seat, just waiting to see who blinks first on a pick like this. Just under 2 minutes and plenty of room to find yourself breaking as we make our way into this map. Let's see how the players do.
So far, so good for both teams, but Snowscent is in a little bit of an act disparity, and as I say that, they kind of fumbled on that Ellen section, but it should not mean too much. Though again, a lead is a lead, and that's really been the theme for this match so far.
For sure, but that being said, these leads have been so fragile at points. We have seen it in these last two picks where it can swing in just an instant, and as these structures, these LN structures start to get a little bit more dense, making our way into the second quarter of the map, it looks like the overall accuracy from the United States is just enough to keep South Korea behind them. A couple of 200s coming in on the break from Snowscent, gonna help secure this lead just a little bit, but it is so close right now, it is almost too close to call. Oh my goodness, we're seeing those cross-map battles once again. Poca, Grip Warrior, Sudden Death, A-Sharp, Bitter, Snowscent. All eyes, pick your favorite and watch along because there is somebody on the opposite end of the lobby matching them step for step. Last third of the map here, and it looks like Sudden Death's gonna find the first drop here.
And yet this is big because if the United States hits a break point, it's their pick now to lose it.
Poca
Poca drops again! But
Bitter trades it.
Bitter is gonna turn it. Now it's just A-Sharp, Grip Warrior holding the fourth for the United States! And Snowscent is still keeping it up for South Korea.
For sure, but they don't have the accuracy this time around, and it is helping the United States. Last little map left to go. Any drops here could prove catastrophic for either of these rosters. That being said, South Korea making some inroads here. Sudden Death and Poca back up with that 400 combo cap, and the accuracies are just ever so slightly able to contest. Mitter finds the drop, and that's going to go over to South Korea at the very end of the map.
That was so unfortunate. That was a break point the United States could have taken. I think the ratio-wise, both teams were like literally just the same. But in terms of the 200 count, United States just takes it.
Oh my goodness, that is so unfortunate. Having it in your hands and having it slip away. They don't know how close that was just yet. But immediate ram coming out for the United States, sticking to their guns. What they know is that Rice accuracy is just whether or not they can put together the team performance to really put them over the top here. They have no more room for error. South Korea now on match point, 5-3.
Yeah, absolutely, they must play perfectly now. Like, the United States cannot afford any much more mistakes or whatever. But this is still a really good situation for, I think, the US, because again, there's no more LNs, and the only picks remaining really are Rice, Hybrid, and 1SB. And if I were South Korea, let's say United States wins this, right? If South Korea is going to be picking, they should avoid SB.
Yeah, the SV2 is fundamentally banned right now. That is the riskiest pick left in this pool. But that being said, they have a chance to close it out here, not even have to worry about it. The United States is the one that are going to have to put up the performances here to try and tie this up and go to tiebreaker once again.
That's true, we have to see. We've seen a lot of like close tiebreaker matches, but it didn't happen. We've seen that in Indonesia, Hong Kong, as well as China, Germany. I really hope this match goes to the end, to the tiebreaker. That would like really be an insane turnaround if the United States takes them to the tiebreaker scene.
For sure, it will be the first one of the weekend. Like you said, we have had so many close calls so far this weekend. But they're going to have to do it here on RAM. And it's going to be that Rice lineup that we've come to know and love. Grip Warrior, Dev, and Mitter coming out for the United States. Poca, Sudden Death, and Snowscent up to contest. And oh my goodness, this is like I cannot imagine what the players are feeling right now.
I can see why Ram was the pick for the US, considering that they do have an active advantage here.
But it's
Sudden
just a
death.
consistency.
Yeah, consistency indeed. But sudden death, I think, from what I've observed, has an accuracy disparity between all of these players so far. So I can see why you should pick something like this. Attacking the third player is a valid strategy.
For sure, but right now, Poca is taking the United States to task right now. 99.95, highest in the lobby. Gonna keep this lead in check for the United States, but it is still a lead nonetheless. This is not a long map by any stretch of the imagination. We're already in the back half, and it is basically three 99.9s coming out from the United States. It's whether or not they can hold it here going into the back half.
Poca has been killing it. 99.95 on a pick like this is no joke. But overall, the United States having two 99.9s and one approaching that already is so much more important than having one that's ahead of everyone else. And here we go, here's the final part. Still chokes are possible.
For sure, last quarter of the map still to go. Some very impressive runs overall. It's going to be scary seeing that team score overall for both of these teams. Last little run map left to go. The lead is still in favor of the United States. They picked this knowing how well their accuracy can carry them through, and it looks like it's going to keep them alive here and make it 5-4 now.
What a score! Wait, that's almost a full lobby V1 double S! Poca dropping down 1 to 100 was the only non-V1 double S score. What is this? What is happening here?
That is disgusting. The fact that all 6 of these players almost V1 double S a map like that. That is ridiculous, if I do say so myself. But it is South Korea's pick. It is their opportunity to try and close this out and avoid the tiebreaker. And I don't know about you, but what do you pick here?
Oh man, I don't know anymore actually.
This,
If
this
it's... I
Justif-
just...
like just I can't like Justify My Love is one of the like it's so innocuously chokeable because you just need one thing to go wrong for everything to just fall apart. Marinol only has like 850 notes. You drop somewhere in the middle, you are never making it back over that 400 combo cap. And there it is, Hybrid 1 mid-Terran trucks coming out for South Korea to try and close this out.
Very least, they did not pick SV. I think that pick was essentially... that was a death sentence, I think, because if you were to pick SV, United States, I think, would kill it and practiced it so many times. But
Yeah.
wow, alright! United States going for the A-sharp route once again. I'm really surprised not to see, like, Gaysol in the South Korean side. And... yeah.
Yeah, this is probably the composition that had the most consistent scores for South Korea. At least you would imagine, because like you said, it's like we haven't seen the likes of Gaysol come back in, and it's just been like we live by this roster, we die by this roster. And we saw the brief appearance of A-Sharp. They're probably trying. The United States is probably trying to figure out who has the nerve to try and contest this pick, to try and take it a tiebreaker. It looks like it's going to be Tristan Jacob coming in.
Yeah, Tristan Jacob was selected for the US team for being really good at hybrid as well. So certainly a good choice. But alright, looks like it's gonna be Grip Warrior, Tristan Jacob 11, and Mitter for the United States. And for South Korea, it's gonna be Poca, Sudden Death, and Snowsen. I don't know which team is winning. I don't know which team is better at this. But all I can say is, it's gonna be one hell of an ending, whatever happens.
For sure, this has been quite the ride. We have been in this situation before 2 times now, where it was 5-4 with the country trying to make the tiebreaker happen, unable to do it. Can this be 3rd time's the charm for the United States? As we wait for everything to get synced up, wait for the players to load into the lobby, want to make sure everything is even footing here.
If you want, indeed, even
There we
footing.
go.
If you want to see a tiebreaker, support United States. But if you want your team, South Korea, If ever your team's South Korea and you want them to win, you gotta support them as well. I don't know who's really gonna take this, actually.
I don't either, but that is a huge accuracy drop from Tristan Jacob there at the very beginning of the map, dropping quite a couple of 200s, and that's going to give a very early lead to South Korea as everything starts to even out, recovering very well, going back up into that 99.7 range, and it is all to play for right now as this map really begins to kick off.
It's true, and it's so close. Tristan Jacob did an amazing recovery, but it's still behind Sudden Death and Snowsen. Polka once again being at the forefront of the South Korean charge, but Grip Warrior is no joke as well.
For sure, this is basically a 1/10% of a difference between these two teams, and as we make our way into the second third of the map, it is, again, as it has been throughout this match, a very fragile lead for the South Koreans to hang on to. The United States trying to make their charge here.
That's true, and right now, it does seem like they could secure this triple full combo for the United States, and that's really good. But South Korea with Poco in the 99.9 range, you would hope for one of the South Koreans to miss if you were the United States team, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen anytime soon. We're in a break section right now, of some sorts. Well, never mind, not anymore.
Going back into it, this map does not relent for even just a second. There are a couple of very light sections, but they don't last for very long. Last third of the map still to go, and we see a bit of an act drop from Sudden Death. Gonna make him tied with Tristan Jacob here, but right now it is really Polka doing the work here for South Korea, keeping them in the lead by the slimmest of margins. Any drops from them and it would probably spell the end for this run, but as it stands, they have been the anchor for South Korea, and it is really showing right now. Last quarter of the map still to go. 6 FC still left on the board. Nobody has batted an eye just yet.
But still, no drops from either team is really impressive. One miss from South Korea could still do it for the United States. There's still enough time, but I don't think any misses are gonna happen. Will this be it for the South Korean United States match? I think this could be it, but if there's any misses, it has to happen now. But it doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
There's not enough time. There's only a sliver of map left to go. Things start to light up just a tiny bit here towards the end, and it looks like South Korea is gonna be able to hold on and take it 6-4 here.
Oh my goodness, that was a V1SS for Polka as well. Amazing recovery by Tristan Jacob, but unfortunately, that's just not gonna be enough. Both teams were amazing. It was just kind of sad that the tiebreaker was not seen. But once again, South Korea, United States, two amazing teams. And wow, Polka overcoming that nervousness was very essential as to why South Korea won that.
For sure. If there was ever a time to put up a performance like that, that is clutch from Polka, if I do say so myself.
It was just very unfortunate. Honestly, I think that tiny difference that they had on breaking rules is what made South Korea win the match.
For sure. And there was an opportunity on Hybrid 2 for the United States as well. That being said, they're not knocked out just yet. They are going to drop down into that lower bracket for the semifinals, and South Korea will be moving on in the winners bracket for that semifinals matchup. And oh my goodness, I believe the Singapore-Canada match has ended already as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 6-1, and I think that means that Canada, unfortunately, is gonna be eliminated. But they still put up a great fight, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. An incredible performance from them. Singapore moving on to the semifinals weekend. But in terms of matches, that'll do it for this tiny block of 2 matches. We'll be back in about 3 hours at 7 UTC to bring you guys Malaysia taking on Japan. Another very, very exciting matchup. And you know what else is exciting?
What is it?
Banners. Being able to decorate your profile and support your teams and provide more support for the prize pool for this tournament. If you have a favorite team, if you want to support a country that you're not a part of, if you want to support a team that's been eliminated already, you can go to the Oath store and pick up a banner to support your country. And that's not all. You can also donate to the Open Collective, an initiative that we have going on where you can donate even more to the prize pool for this tournament. So lend your support to these players. They have been putting on impressive, incredible, immaculate performances for you guys. But until we return at 7 UTC, I believe that'll be it for both of us.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I have not that much to say, but again, as Sparky said, just stay tuned, and you do not want to miss the next matches that we are going to have. They're all going to be insane, I bet.